right, welcome to Visual Storytelling with Adobe Spark. It is so lovely to have all of you here today. Hopefully, you are having an amazing winter break. It's only winter break, I guess, for some of us. Thanks for joining us today for this course. It's a 3-day course on visual storytelling for Adobe Spark. We will be using the participants window and chat. So if you want to kind of navigate to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you will see an option for participants and chat. Go ahead and open up both those windows. If you have a question anytime during today's presentation, feel free to use the buttons in the participants window to raise your hand. Thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no, all of those good things. And always feel free to type in the chat. I can read and present at the same time. It's one of my pandemic skills that I've picked up. So everyone right now, if you are ready to go ahead and click on that yes button, or no, if you're not ready, I suppose. Excellent. This provides me with excellent visual feedback that you are following along with me and we're on the same page. So thank you. Yeah, a thumbs up would work too. There are also reactions in the bottom bar of your Zoom. Those would be also excellent visual feedback for me to know that I'm not speaking into the void, which I'm fine with. Also hashtag 2020. Feel free to keep your videos off or on. That is entirely up to you. Feel free to step away if you need to. This recording will be available on the Canvas site immediately following our session. And so you can always go back and watch it later if you need to. All right. We are talking about visual storytelling with Adobe Spark. This is part of the Innovation Week, Innovation Quarter at ASU. It is an amazing platform for lifetime learners and is free and open to all, which is pretty awesome. We are going to take a look at Adobe Spark Post today. There are 3 different programs within this Spark application, and the first one is Post. We'll do a brief introduction. I'll provide you with some resources. We'll do an overview of Spark and what it does, and then we'll go dive deep into Spark Post, what it does, why we should use it, and how to use it. Then we'll talk about storytelling, and then we'll have some design time and even some show and share, as we like to say in my son's kindergarten class. So that is where we're going. Of course, at any time, if you have questions, you can feel free to raise your hand in that participants window or to type it in the chat. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have a question. I am Christina Karaskia, and I am a senior lecturer here at ASU in the Graphic Information Technology program in the Fulton Schools of Engineering. I'm the co-founder of the Device and Usability Learning Lab and the Director of Mentorship and Education for AIGA Arizona. I was awarded a Mandela Washington Fellowship reciprocal exchange program where I got to go to Kenya last summer. Traveling is amazing and I miss it. I was the Fulton School's outstanding lecturer in 2017, and my expertise area lies in user experience, cross-media design, and front-end web design and development, as well as social media. So this platform for Spark is actually a program that I would use, even though I'm a designer, and I'll kind of go into that in a little. All of my service efforts are kind of focused on underrepresented populations and K through 12 outreach. That is where my passion is. I am a first generation college graduate, and I want to make sure that that opportunity is paid forward to others. So that's a little bit about me and where I'm coming from. Adobe Spark, that's why you're here today. Go ahead in the participants window and tell me yes or no. Do you have any experience with Adobe Spark? Yes or no? Again, that's in the participants window. Thanks, Andy. Also in the chat is fine. Nope, no one, no one. Excellent. Okay, so no one has any previous experience. Excellent. That helps me kind of refine what I talk about today. So starting from scratch, beginning. Excellent. Thanks for your feedback on that. All right. So Adobe Spark. Before we get started, I do have some resources for you. And if you're in the Canvas shell, this is under the resources section in modules. It's also here in the presentation, which is also available to you in Canvas in modules. Adobe has an entire website for Adobe Spark support with kind of frequently asked questions and this tutorials even step by step. So you can always refer to that later. And also LinkedIn Learning, which is also known as lynda.com, has a great, because a couple of resources and courses on Adobe Spark. So if you want to take a deeper dive later, here are 3 really good ones. Telling a Story with Adobe Spark kind of does an overview of all of the 3 Spark programs. And there is a class specifically for Adobe Post and one for video. There is not yet one for Adobe Page, and we'll talk about that later. It's for creating a one-page web page, which is a really nice resource. Oh, and I should mention this. This is super exciting since most of you are ASU employees. LinkedIn Learning is actually free for you. And so if you just go to linkedin.com/learning, there will be an option to sign in with your organization, and it'll take you through basically logging in with your ASU Right, and you'll have access to their entire library of courses, which is an amazing benefit for us. In fact, I use LinkedIn Learning, previously lynda.com. I've used that as my textbooks for class for years. Because they're videos and they're updated frequently. So it really is a nice resource for students and for employees. All right, let's talk about Spark. Spark is actually a collection of 3 different apps. So they're easy to use, they're visual media applications, and they're good at telling a story. They're not for broader kind of purposes. So Adobe Page, Spark Page will make one page. It's one thought, one story, not an entire website. All right, so there's 3 different programs within the Spark collection. The first one is what we're going to talk about today, Post. And that includes anything you want to make for web graphics or print collateral, anything that uses images, graphics, text, or animations. This might be something that you post on social media. It might be something that you print like a flyer. So kind of a graphic maker, we'll say, and we'll dive deeper into that one today. The second one is Adobe Spark Video. And this is a simple video. So making a simple presentation, you can add narration really easily. Music, images, graphics, video, animations, text, and again, one story, not like a whole movie, but telling a quick story. And it does a great job at sort of drag and drop and makes it so easy for non-designers and even non-tech people. So fantastic accessibility on that. And then the third in the collection is Adobe Spark Page, which is essentially a web page. It is what we refer to as a one-page web page. It's an interactive presentation. You can add images, graphics, video, animation, or text. In fact, you can add video you made with video, and you can add posts that you made with posts. So that's why we're going to kind of do that one last. We'll kind of add in some stuff that we did along the way. But a great suite of programs that are very accessible and free, which is one of the best parts about it. Free for all, and we're going to go ahead and sign up today. So if you want to move ahead, if you'd like to open Spark, you can go ahead and do that and get your account, we will sign up for free. And the reason that you would use it is that it provides all the assets you need. So what I call turnkey templates. They're already designed templates where you're just going to replace your information, which is amazing. And they have limited so much what you can do with it that it's almost foolproof. You can't mess it up too badly, which is awesome. But it's what designers will hate about that. And I'll get to that in a second. You can add images, graphics, icons. They're already built into the system. So you can find them right there and just drag and drop them right into your post. You can actually upload images as well from any of your devices, and it links directly to Dropbox and Google Drive if you would like. Then you can one click bring stuff over in from your library of assets if you have them. It also stores in the cloud automatically, and you can save it as a file, and you can share it out directly to social media, which is typically what people use these for. The free version does have a watermark at the bottom of the screen, a little logo for Adobe Spark, but I think that is fine. And I think that's perfect, and all you need to get up and running with this. Until you might move into the paid account. Of course, free for all, but paid for premium. The most thing that's going to do is take your watermark off your page. And if you decide to upgrade later, it'll take the watermark off of the things that you previously created, which is nice. You can also save brands. So if you are working with a brand, whether that's ASU or you work as a volunteer with the Girl Scouts, or you do some work on the side for volunteering for charities or something, you can save kind of a collection of that brand, including colors and typography and images that you use together. That way it makes it really easy to kind of continue creating for that brand. The paid account will also let you collaborate with a team, so you can both a team of people can be logged in at the same time, kind of working with that. And of course, always premium assets. Although I admit that that is rarely something I feel like I need. A lot of free programs, they give you limited access and they're kind of terrible. And I don't find that to be true at all in this particular one. Also, of note is that the premium version automatically is included with Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. So if you do have Adobe Creative Cloud, which is also a free to you asset at ASU, provided that you need it for your job, it's already at the premium membership. So it'll additionally sync your libraries that you have already in Adobe Creative Cloud, as well as the Adobe stock and Adobe fonts that you might already have. Is anyone here using, does anyone here already have an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription? If you can let me know in the participants, just yes or no, do you have access to Adobe Creative Cloud? Cheryl has a great question. How much is it for the premium? It's free for the first 2 weeks right now, and it's $9.99 a month. And so it really depends on how much you're creating with it, if that's worth it. Okay, it looks like some of you, looks like actually a few of you have access to Creative Cloud, which means you already have a premium account and you can use your Creative Cloud credentials to log into Spark, which is sort of awesome. Sonia does by your your employer. Yeah, that's awesome. Perfect. So you can actually already use the premium version. All right, looks like most of you have a subscription to Creative Cloud and a couple of you don't. So no problem. That helps me a lot kind of move forward. Thank you. All right, so Spark is available for free to sign in on the web. You can do a single sign in with your existing Facebook, Google, or Apple ID if you have one. But of course, if you have that Creative Cloud account, go ahead and sign in with your Adobe Creative Cloud, and you can do it the old-fashioned way by email. So let's go ahead and do that now. There is an app for that, of course. You can access Adobe Spark on the web, and I will provide you with that link right now. That link is in the chat to sign up. And then you can also, oh, someone's drawing on the board. Fun. Feel free, be creative. And you can download an app for iOS or Android. I'm going to focus on the web browser version today. So if you want to follow along there, that's probably your best bet. But know that also you can access these through a native app as well. And all that information syncs. So if you make something on the web and then you're out and about and need to post something or edit something on your phone, you can totally do that, which is one of the reasons I love it and use it. All right, so our task right now is to actually get logged into Spark. I've got the link in the chat. And when you are ready to go and have access to Spark, go ahead and put a yes in the participants window so I know that we are ready to move on. Awesome. Thank you, Andrea. Thanks for the thumbs up. Perfect. Excellent. Getting up and running. It's pretty easy to get up and running with the program, which is why it's a real asset, I think, to use. If you are up and running, go ahead and let me know why maybe you want to use this program if you're willing to share. Cheryl, thanks so much for sharing with Helen. Helen, that link is in the chat. If you have your chat window open, you'll see it there. If you don't, go ahead and navigate to the bottom of your Zoom screen and click on the chat icon. Perfect. You're in. Excellent. All right. Does anyone want to share why they want to use it? Kiara says, I'm going to use it to make social media content, of course, course content and web page design for your business. Fantastic. Perfect use. Andrea says, would like to move beyond slides and PowerPoint for presentations and publications. Absolutely. A great reason for it as well. Cheryl says, I use storytelling to engage students in my course. Perfect. Yes, absolutely. And I will show you how I've used it throughout my courses. I typically use it more for events, but I'll give you lots of ideas. Sandra says web graphic and instructional design. Perfect. That'll work great. Michael says I'm interested in learning how to incorporate more Adobe products into my training courses. Excellent. Works great for that. Sonia says trying to move away from Canva. So full disclosure, I am definitely not endorsed or sponsored by Adobe in any way. Of the three programs, Post is one that I don't typically use. I do use Canva, so full disclosure on that. They're essentially the same thing, Canva and Spark Post. It's just that Canva was around first, and so I kind of mostly am in the habit of using it, and I do like it kind of a lot. And if Adobe hadn't just added all of the features to sync my libraries and fonts and stuff, I might still take a stand and use Canva, but probably a good idea for me to move over to be more integrated. But I do really love Canva. And I think if you want to try Canva after you've learned Adobe Spark, you'll find that they are extremely similar. And won't have a problem getting up and running with that as well. And it is also free, and it's also web-based and an app-based. So, so a good program as well. Andy says, taking real estate as a minor and trying to find new ways to engage your audience seems like it would be fun to learn. Absolutely. Very, very engaging. Perfect. Awesome. All right, well, we've given you enough time to kind of get up and running with Spark, but don't hesitate to reach out and ask if you're having some problems so I can help you kind of troubleshoot that. It sounds like all of you have the perfect situation to use the Adobe Spark program. So these will fit in with kind of your objectives, which is awesome. Let's move forward here. All right, so Adobe Spark Post, that's the program we're going to be looking at today. Tomorrow we'll look at Adobe Video, and on Thursday we'll look at Adobe Page. So Adobe Spark Post, what is it? What is it? What does it do? And the short answer is it makes collateral for both print and web. So digital output might be to Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. There's LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, as well as Snapchat and Twitch and Etsy, Eventbrite, Kindle, and even slide templates. And you can actually make custom sizes too. So what that means is that the program itself already has the dimensions for a Facebook post or a Facebook event or a Facebook story, right? And so one of the things about social media marketing that is so difficult is that every single platform and every single type of post has a different size banner, a different size ad, a different size cover image, a different size profile picture. Those are already baked in to Spark. So you don't have to figure out what those are. You'll just click the template that you need, and it'll automatically be set up for you, which is amazing and so helpful. And you can also do things for print. There are templates for business cards, resumes, flyers, brochures, posters, letters, cards, and again, custom size. So if you have a specific size that you're looking for that isn't already baked in, you can add it. So all of these things are already in the program at the size that you need. And in addition, they're going to give you templates for those things and sort of take some of the design guesswork out of it. All right, so why would we want to use Spark Post? We've already discussed one thing, Canva, right? Sonia and Kiara use Canva or are trying to move away from it. It's essentially the same type of program. It's easy, it's accessible, it creates stunning visual content, it helps you tell a story or make your brand awareness or brand recognition, or just communicate a proof of concept, which is fantastic for marketing purposes. So for real estate, Andy, that'll be perfect. And so it's what we call a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, or drag and drop, or I call it turnkey templates. It's sort of hard to mess it up because they've already put it all together for you. Now, for designers, that whole thing just made us cry a little because that's like not at all what we do. So if you're a designer, and I know from the registrations that a couple of you are, why would you want to use this? Well, the first thing is it's a quick turnaround on designs. We will be able to more quickly find the template that we're looking for and know what our content is and how we want to put it in. And if we're designing on the fly, it's perfect for that. In fact, that is what I use it for, especially when I'm volunteering for organizations. I'm not going to take the time to do a brand new photo shoot and make custom graphics because that's really time consuming. But am I going to make something with a template that's a quick turnaround that's going to support an organization that I love? Then yeah, absolutely. So you'll find me usually doing it, well, back before we were in the pandemic, I could be at a kid's soccer game and, quickly putting together a social media graphic or something like that. It's easy to do on the fly. Also, a bonus for designers is that, especially here in Phoenix, we have a very entrepreneurial spirit. We have lots of entrepreneurs out here. I would say that the hub really for entrepreneurs in the US, and a lot of times people who are getting up and running with their business, which may be most of you, could be they can't afford a designer, but they want to have nice looking things and recognize that that's an important part of their business. And so for a designer, that can be a really frustrating situation. But with a program like this, we can really reframe it and instead use it as a teaching tool. Here we've set up your designs and the parameters for your brand, and let us teach you how to use Spark so you can get up and running and use it. And that creates a great relationship. And then once that business gets off the ground, usually the entrepreneurs will remember that, hey, this was a big effect, and then it could be opportunities down the road. But a lot of times I find that's really helpful. It's just sort of teaching the design skills for the client to use. So designers or non-designers, this program is going to help. Let's get started here. Step one, we want to start a new project. And I think from now on, I'm going to go ahead and share Adobe Spark with you, but I wanted to let you know that I do have all of these steps in this presentation that you can access already in the Canvas shell. So it'll be there for you to refer to, but at this point, I'd like to switch on over to Spark to do a little hands-on demonstration. So I will stop sharing this particular screen and I will move into Adobe Spark. Any questions before we get up and running here? Cheryl, no problem. Yep, in the Canvas site, you have all of those resources that are also in the presentation. And of course, this recording will be out there as soon as Zoom sends it to me, and you can watch later. Excellent. I have got Spark up on my screen as well as my chat so I can see the questions. Excellent. All right. So in the participants window, please give me a yes or no if you are up and running on this screen, somewhere where you can see this blue plus, this blue circle and the plus, because your screen might look slightly different, but as long as you have access to this plus, we're good. Excellent. Thank you so much for that feedback in the chat and participants. That is very helpful for me. All right. Anyone need help troubleshooting to get to this point? Don't want to leave anyone behind. Cool. And so if you do need help at some point, don't hesitate to raise your hand or cry for desperate help in the chat. I respond well to that. Okay. So here we are in Spark application, and I'm on the home page, and you can see that if I hover over the Spark button, it shows that I'm at home. You can also see that I'm logged in here and have access to my Creative Cloud. And since that applies to most of you, I did want to point that out here, that you do have access to the Creative Cloud over here. But we're going to go ahead and hit that plus button. And as soon as we do, it drops down this list of popular outputs, right? Flyer, Instagram story, Instagram post, Facebook, collage. It even includes the web page and the video, because it kind of considers Spark as kind of one hub for all the three programs. We can click on one from here, or we can click this bottom button to view all. And it brings you to kind of all of the different ideas that you might have, a flyer, a newsletter, Facebook ad, and you can see there's lots of different choices here. We're going to go ahead and just click on the graphics tab. And this will show us the templates that we have available. I think it's important to note that actually not all of them are here. So this word all is a little bit confusing. But once we get into the program, you'll see more options for some reason. And we're going to go ahead and choose I don't know. Does anyone have a preference? Twitter promo? I think story. Let's go ahead and choose an Instagram story. So I'll click on that little thumbnail, and it actually brings me into that precise template, right? And so here we've opened up to the artboard, right? And so on the left, let's take a little tour of our artboard. We have some navigation here on our left sidebar. The first is templates. So it's bringing in a whole bunch of templates, and you'll notice they're all different sizes. We specifically chose story, but it's giving us all sorts of possible templates. On the templates that have this yellow shield, that indicates that it's premium. That's one of the premium ones. And you can, again, if you have a Creative Cloud subscription, you can add one of those premium ones, no problem. If you don't, you can add it, but then I think it watermarks it. And then before you try to download it, it's like, hey, do you want to pay for that? No. So be aware of that. We're going to go ahead and leave this template in for now. And if you have a different one, don't worry about it. That's totally fine. The second part of that navigation is to add text. And so you can kind of start from one of these templates that makes sense for your project, or you can just simply add text. And it will automatically add it to that template in the most appropriate style. So this runs on artificial intelligence, and it'll post it in. So let me just go ahead and show you that, and feel free to join along. This is entirely for you to try out these tools, and what we make won't go anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and add some text, and I'm just going to say, hey, and click done. Now you can add a bunch of text here, and you can use a soft return if you want to add different lines. Totally fine. And it adds that, and it automatically put it this big with this font and this color based on the template. So it's using artificial intelligence to kind of load up content. Now it's kind of a bad choice because I can't see that black text on the writing, but you'll also notice that as I clicked on this text box, a new panel is opened up on the right, and I can change the text color and the font and the size and the placement and the alignment. And I can even change it to be on a path in a circle, or I can justify it. Lots of options that I have here. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and change it to white because I want to be able to read it. And you are welcome to follow along exactly, or click on all of the things right now and ask any questions that have to do with that. That's totally fine. Very flexible on how this moves forward. Right, so we'll leave that there for now. We have added some text. If I thought this template for text really made sense, I could click on it and it would add it in the center, but maybe Bon Voyage doesn't make any sense. And I just think this guy is saying, hey girl. So that's what I'm going to type. Oops. Double click on that. And he's definitely saying, hey girl. Probably like this. And it automatically kind of changes that. And then I can tweak it later. It doesn't need to be perfect right now. We're just kind of looking at how to add stuff. The next section on that navigation on the left is for photos. Now, the first option is to upload photos. So let's say this is not the photo that you want, but this was the overall layout that you were looking for, and you just want to tweak it a little bit. You can actually replace the image here, or you can remove the background, which is in beta and honestly doesn't work too great. Question from Ivy. If I wanted to change the background photo to something from my computer, is it possible to upload? Absolutely. I did read your mind. No, I didn't. I can hit replace, and now I will automatically pull up on the left all of the possible images. But again, I can upload one from my computer. So if I hit upload, I can access all of that and change out that background image. Great question, Ivy. I can also fix this image uh, however I want to. So if I just want to focus on the guy in the foreground, but not the girl in the background, I can sort of zoom in here with those tools on the right-hand side. So now I've zoomed in, so it's mostly him saying, hey, hey, girl. I can also reverse it or spin it around if I want to, which I don't. So I'm just going to bring that back. And I can flip it. This is actually something I use a lot because if I want it flipped to the other side for space or something like that. Cheryl has a question. Can you search for vertical or horizontal pictures in Adobe Stock? Yeah, you can. You can confirm the layout. I don't know why that was so hard. Yeah, you can search for vertical or horizontal. It doesn't always return the best. Sometimes gets a little confused on that, but yeah, you can. Andrea says, I was able to change the text in weekend collection, but I'm having trouble with fall essentials. Awesome. Yes, let's go. Let's take a look at that. So if I zoom in to the weekend essentials, oops, I didn't mean to do that. The fall essentials, you'll have to probably zoom in, Andrea, because it's so small. So at the bottom of your artboard, you have the zoom tools, and you can either use the magnifying glasses or you can use the drop down, which in this case is like a pop up, I guess, so that you can zoom in. And now if you click on it, you can grab its handles and make it bigger or spread it out, change the text. Yes, it was because it was so small. Perfect. Yeah, no problem. And you'll notice that just every element of this layout is changeable, right? If we don't want this logo to be black, we want it to be a different color, we can choose it. You'll also notice here it has my current color palette. It's popped up with the colors that are already in this layout. So if I want to choose a new color, this is a great place to go for it, right? And it even is giving suggestions. It's like, but I think it should be one of these. Again, that's that AI design working for you, although white would be a terrible option here. So you'll also notice that I have a panel called AIGA Arizona. That's because it's pulling in one of my brands. And it assumes that I'm doing this one for that brand. And so I can pull in all those elements here. So if you're wondering what that was, it's for a brand that I work with. Awesome. All right, let's go back to that picture because we have a couple more things that we can look at here, especially filters. So we can change the filter that's going onto this image, and I'll scroll down there so you can see the effect. I can grayscale, darken, up the contrast, colorize. So I can kind of take a look at all of these, but you'll also see this symbol that happens on top of it. This is the remix symbol. So if you use multiply and you're like, that's okay, but it's not exactly what I want, you can hit refresh and it changes it. Again, driven by AI, it's just kind of creating that for you. Sonia asked, can we create a custom color palette? You can if you have the premium version, because then you can add a brand. Yeah. And then you can bring it in either through your libraries. So if you have a Creative Cloud library, you can actually take a look at it here on the left side panel. You have libraries, and now you can see all of the libraries that I have listed here. Or you can create one and drag and drop assets into it, which is awesome. Great question, Sonia. Kiara is a little lost. Where did you go to edit the image? Great question. So click on the image itself. So you see when I click here, I'm on the text. And if I click here, I'm on the image. When you're clicked on one of the assets, it automatically opens up this panel on the right side with all of the things you can do with that image. So I can replace it, remove background, which really doesn't work. I'll show you. It's not the best. Yeah, see, like it kind of took some of it out. It's not great. I can zoom in, flip it, and then I can use the filters. Did you find that, Kiara? So that panel opens up whenever you click on an asset. And so now when I click on the text, you can see that that menu on the right changed to all the tools that I have for text. Great question. All right, let's go on to the next navigation there on the right, and this is icons. And so if you wanted to add an icon of anything, you can kind of search this, and this is pulling in, by the way, all the photos and icons and design assets are pulling in from resources that are in the public domain that have a Creative Commons license. So these are free for you to use. So there's no licensing issue. On Adobe Spark Video and Page, if there's something they need to attribute, they actually automatically add it in for you, which is also awesome. All right, so these icons are mostly being pulled from the Noun project, which is an absolutely amazing site for icons. And let's just go ahead and search for something like a coffee cup. And then we can kind of choose the cup that we like and click on it, and it automatically adds to the screen. It automatically adds it in the size that it think you may want it, and it adds it in the color that's within that color palette. But then of course you can move it and change it any way that you want to. Sandra says, I downloaded the image in a PNG for the web, but the red background is not showing. It looks all grayed out. And then, because if you check the transparent one, it will do that. Yeah, that's the superpower of a PNG file, is that it can save transparency. So otherwise the JPEG would be an option. Great question. And you answered it yourself, so way to go. All right, so icons we can add, click to the screen, and then there's design assets. And so the first thing that pops up is sort of seasonal stuff, and that's because it's kind of the most popular thing that people are looking at right now. So you can take a look at these and maybe add them to your screen if you like. Little Christmas wishes, cup of coffee. I mean, I realize that this is hideous, but we're just putting stuff in. I can go back to design assets and look at the things that are trending for some reason. Little stormy cloud there. This is looking not amazing, but that's okay. We're practicing, right? The storm cloud had a little problem. Sandra says, future makes it transparent, so thinking it would be great for a background for a website to carry the design further. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll take a look at backgrounds next, actually. All right, so in design assets, you again have a collection of free assets that you can look for, different elements, different frames and textures and overlays, which could really add some interest to your design, which we'll talk more about later. There is a whole section for backgrounds, Sandra. So if you want to add kind of a plain background, or I like this one for especially Christmassy stuff, you'll notice that it's like, wait, I've just added you as an image on the top. But there's also kind of this option over here to add it to the background. So right now it's unchecked, and so, or untoggled, I guess. So it's laying it as an image on top. But if you click that in and you want to make it the background, you'll just toggle that over. And now it's in the background of the text box that we just added. But if we had it in a different spot, it would add it there, right? Michael, literally about to ask that. I can read minds. No, I wouldn't want to. That is not my superpower.
Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
I was just going to plug in to better, explain myself. So I went to download the image and download, and you have two options besides JPEG and PNG. So when you go to PNG and you start so go there, and then they'll further ask you if you want it transparent. And that is, so it'll take away any color, it'll desaturate it. So it might be cool to have that option for the background of a website, and then you carry that same design in the colorful version that you're putting on Instagram or whatever.
Absolutely. So that means one of the images that you had some transparency or opacity to it,
Yeah.
which doesn't show up great on screen because it's a solid background. So yeah, adding a background could be really helpful. Excellent. Thank you. Helen says, besides posting on social media platforms, is it possible to save or download the final images for use in other places? Absolutely. You are limited to the kind of files that you have here because we don't have anything animated. It's only giving us the option for PNG, JPEG, and PDF. And so if you are working on a print asset, like a flyer or a brochure or something, you can download it as a PDF and print it. That's a great question. And of course, if you save the file, you can actually post it to whatever. If we go to share, we're getting a little ahead, but why not? You can actually hit publish and you can send this right to Facebook, Twitter, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams. You can send it via email or even just get the link to it so that you can link to it from anywhere. So yes, the possibilities on this are pretty endless. You have full flexibility on that. Andrew said I have to delete the guy first, and then choose your image. Yes, because it came the entire image. Yeah. So again, it's using that artificial intelligence. And it was like, oh, you want this in the background of this text box? Yeah, no. But if you delete the guy, delete the content, and then take this image or add in a new one and make it the background. Now it's making it the whole background. Yeah. It'll pull stuff in where it thinks it should go. And then you can always tweak it later. Totally fine. Awesome. Great questions. All right. If you're signed in as a premium user, you will have access to your logos from the brands that you have saved. So you can see I have a logo. And then also, if you're signed in with your Creative Cloud account, you can see all of your libraries, which is super great. You've been seeing assets from my AIGA Arizona, an organization, a professional organization I'm a part of. And so I can see all my assets here. And this is amazing for a social media team because you all have access to the same documents and you can just drag and drop your organization's assets into these and really make something fast, but also professional if you're using it for that purposes. And I think that tools like this or Canva are perfect for social media marketing. Those are the tools that I would use. As a designer, I'm not going to go into Illustrator and hand make information for social media graphics that need to go out really quickly, right? That's the whole thing about social media. It's kind of fast moving and fast paced. I'm not going to spend time on that. Instead, I'm going to build up a great library so that I can drag and drop them in here. Can you put a link in an image? Sandra, that is such a great question. And the answer is no, you can't, because this is going to output as an image. And an image and all of this text in here is actually not going to be accessible or clickable. But it is one of my pro tips later on to say you should probably add all that text and links into the actual post. So if this was going to be on Facebook, then I would put the image out there. I mean, obviously this is like a hodgepodge mess of stuff, but if I were going to put this image out there, in the text of the post is where I would add all of the text that's in this image, as well as the link that I want to send to that makes it accessible. Great question. Yeah, by design, actually, you can't do that. Fantastic. So this is all of the things you can add. This is all of the stuff on the left. We've gone through all of those. Obviously, we want to tweak these things a little bit more, but we've gone through how you get stuff on the page. Once you get it on the page, if you're clicked into that asset, you get an additional panel on the right that will let you manipulate that in ways that you want. Here's that opacity that we were running into earlier, Sandra. So if you take this opacity down, you'll see that the word hey is just getting lighter and lighter. It's using a certain amount of transparency, and that is why PNGs are kind of amazing, is that they can maintain that. But also if we had rounded corners on this and we wanted that to be transparent and match like the background of our website, we'd have to maintain that transparency. So how do we tweak images once we get them even further, right? We know we can look on additional, we can click on our elements itself and get the whole pop-up for what we can do. But we also have these buttons here, if you may have noticed. We can replace an image. We can duplicate this. This would make a separate project in our project. So take this entire project and duplicate it. And we also can change the layers. So if you're used to more robust design programs or even slides, you can change the order in which they appear. So let's put this coffee cup over here of this graphic. And so you can see the coffee cup is behind this image. If I want to take the coffee cup, or in this case, I can click on this, I'll go to the layer order and I can move this down or up or right to the bottom, right? So right now, because they don't have the option to move it up or move to the front, it tells me that it's on the top layer. And so I can either move it down or I can move it all the way to the back. And now you see it moves behind that coffee cup, behind weekend collection, and behind fall essentials. If I share to LinkedIn and click on the image, it goes to my artboard. Will others be brought to my artboard? I don't want that. That is a great question, Sandra. So what I would do if I wanted to add an image to my LinkedIn post is that I would download this as a PNG or a JPEG. And then in LinkedIn, I would add it as an image. Or if I was using the share button, and I don't think it shares directly to LinkedIn, it would just be the image. It wouldn't be a link to your artboard. If I wanted to send a link to my artboard, then I'd hit share and publish, and I'd copy the link. This would be a link to my artboard. The image would just be the image. That's such a great question. If I also wanted to collaborate with someone, I could click this collaborate button and I could email it. And that would bring them to the artboard. It would be inviting them to edit. Great question. Not unless you share the link or share access to the artboard will it ever go to your artboard. The link will always just be, the image that you download will always just be the image. Great question. There are some additional bells and whistles we can put in here if there's not enough for you already. We can take this coffee cup, we'll make it real big, and we can also animate some stuff. So we can hit the animation button here on the right, and we can add some animations. And so I just hit the grow animation, and you'll see it's picked out elements within my design that it wants to grow. I'm going to click zoom now, and it's going to zoom into those assets. And of course I can tweak all of this. Maybe I don't want the background to zoom, but I want the words to zoom. We can kind of look at that. Color shuffle is a good one. Makes it kind of a blinky sign. Cheryl says, if you add animations, do you get different download options? Yes, you do. Great question. So now if I hover over download, it has another option to download this as an MP4 video. Now, that means that this animation, which should be a simple animated GIF, is going to actually be a video. So you'll be importing a video into wherever you put this. So it'll have a play button if you're looking at most social media, or it'll automatically play depending on what platform you're on. Great question, Cheryl. Yep, it'll download. It'll give you another option. So you can have fun with the animations there. It is true that social media marketing that has an image or a video gets much higher engagement. So it's a great way to add engagement, but you want to make sure that it's with purpose, that you're grabbing an attention in a good way and not in like an annoying blinky text way. This button here says background, and it really should be called grids. So let's say we didn't want to start with any of these things. We wanted to start fresh on our own. We could actually choose what kind of grid we wanted here. And we'll do that next in my design challenge I have prepared for you. So we'll take a look at that in a sec. And then there's the resize button. So at this point, we chose the Instagram story, and it automatically put it in the right dimensions. And if you hover over, you can see that's 1080 by 920 by 1920. But what if at this point we've changed our mind? We don't want it in Instagram story. We really wanted an Instagram post. If I hover over the post, it'll give me the dimensions for that, which is 1080 by 1080. But I can also just decide to click this, and it automatically reshuffled all of my design elements to fit that size. And it did it again with that AI, trying to think, where should all this stuff go? Now, I've dragged a lot of weird stuff onto the artboard, so it doesn't look great. But when you are making intentional design and it is being put together, it does a really great job of kind of reshuffling the elements to look good on the page. So then I go, oh, maybe I don't want that. I really want it to go on Facebook. So I'll click that. And those dimensions are 1200 by 628. And now it did its best, but it's like you have tons of extra room. What do you want to do? Again, if we were making intentional design, it would give a better option. And the last button we have here to sort of embellish is to just say, you know what, you design it for me. I put all these assets on the board. It doesn't look great. What if I just click on this? And it starts to change the elements based on sort of the branding for each of these possibilities. And you can see like you're clicking through and you're changing it. Oh, I actually like that better. And then you can also use that reshuffle button. So if you're like, yeah, I like this, but this is not exactly right, we can hit shuffle, and it sort of switches it within that same design style to a different layout. And maybe I hit it again, and now it's switched to here. I don't like that at all. So I can, I don't know what is happening and why that just popped up on my computer, but that's fun. Let me go back to here. All right, just confirm that you can see my Adobe Spark Post, since my computer just went like, great. Thank you, Michael. All right, so I can use these to kind of reshuffle things around. And now you've really seen kind of all the tools that you have here on your artboard. We've gone through all of these left navigation buttons, which are going to add our assets, and all of the right navigation buttons, which are going to tweak those assets or manipulate those assets. This top navigation is where I can share it or save it or download it. And so now what we want to do is sort of get a feel for it. Yeah. Any questions before we kind of issue a design challenge? Excellent. Kiara, is that yes, you have a question, or yes, you're ready? Or yes, left over from some other question I asked? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this. I'm just going to go back to the post. I'm not going to save this. This is not a keeper for me, but you can go ahead. Thanks, Kiara, I was left over. You can save it if you would like with the download. I'm going to go ahead and go back to post. And it's going to save it anyway, because Because that's what it does. It's in the cloud, right? So you don't have to hit save 100 times if you're used to doing that. If you're working in any Adobe programs, you know that they crash unexpectedly. They quit unexpectedly quite frequently. And so, save after everything you do. Well, in this program, it saved this for me. It saved this glorious post for me so I can come back and look at it later. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this and go back to my presentation. Probably. If I can find it. All right, so we did walk through how to do all these steps, but I did want to let you know that they are also in this presentation. Sandra says, where does it store the work, and can you edit and reuse it? Yeah, absolutely. So when we went back to that homepage that I'm about to go back to anyway, on your homepage now, all of your projects are saved there at the bottom, and you can go in and re-edit. You can duplicate it and kind of use what you've already made as a template for something else. You can reuse it. You can always go back into it. Sonia, are you able to save it as design externally as a film on your computer? Absolutely. Yep. So the navigations buttons at the top where it says download, you can save that as a video file on your computer, and then you have it to use for whatever application you want. But it also saves in the cloud automatically. So you can always go back to Spark and it'll be there. Great questions. All right, so we walked through doing a new project. We figured out how to find the most popular types of posts or outputs, but also how to view all of them and all of the graphics, whether you're looking for web pages or videos. We looked at choosing a layout that are brought up in the middle panel and what a premium asset looks like. We looked, this is what we're going to look at next, which is backgrounds. Now, it should be called grids because this says background, and then on the right side, or the left side, it also says background, which is very confusing. And if I were naming things, it would be called grids. We're about to do that with a new post. We'll look at that. We looked at adding some text. We looked at adding assets like photos and icons, backgrounds, or design assets. I'll quickly go through here. This is to show you that you have access to all of this step-by-step later. And we looked at how to save it, share it, and post it. In that share, if you want to invite someone to edit the graphic with you, this is where you would go, is to the collaboration. It would send an email. If you looked to download, you'd have those options of PNG, JPEG, or PDF. So this would be to save to your actual computer. If you've added animations, then you'll have an additional option that says MP4, which will add to any platform that takes video. It's a common file. Or you'll hit share, which will take you to automatically publish to those few social media sites. Or again, you can get to invite, which is literally the same thing as the first button. Or you can, this is brand new, send it to Google Drive. So you can really save it to Google Drive, which is awesome. If you click on publish, it has that automatic share to Facebook, Twitter, Google Classroom, or Microsoft Teams, or email. All right. Are you ready for the design challenge? We're going to talk about visual storytelling and then jump into that challenge. The whole purpose of making this graphic is to tell a story. And you can do that with one image, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, it's pretty true. And so I really follow this ideal of regular storytelling, right? My staples of every project that I start with is who, what, why, where, when, how, and how much. I want to make sure that I can answer these questions whether I'm working on a graphic for myself, for my business, for my classroom, and especially a client. If I'm working with them, I want to make sure I ask all of these questions. I call them the 5 W's and the 2 H's, so that I know exactly what's happening. If I can answer all of these questions within the graphic that I'm making, that is ideal, right? So the who in the content is going to be, who is my audience? Who am I speaking to? Because that should be clear. The purpose is I want to make a connection with them. If I'm posting something to social media, it's because I want to make a connection with that audience. The way I can do that with design is to make it feel like it was made for that audience. I want to connect with them. So using obscured figures is actually a really great way of someone being able to put themselves in your shoes. And you might notice this from ASU design, that it's always kind of in a shadow, like it's from behind and there's a shadow and you can see that it's a person, but you can't tell specifics about that person. That's actually a great way for people to see themselves as the person in that graphic. So obscured, whether you see kind of nondescript parts of like their hands or from shadows or behind, it's helpful for the user to think that could be me. You'll also want to think about the style that that audience likes. What are they going to tend to gravitate to, right? And so if I am making an image or Instagram story for a Visco girl, I'm going to make sure that it has scrunchies and turtles and hydro flasks and that kind of thing. So making sure that I'm fitting the style of whoever that audience is. Again, the audience, not the client or the person I'm making it for. So if you are making a flyer for your business, you shouldn't be the audience. Your audience should be who you're giving that flyer to. So don't make choices for you and what you like, although they can be the same as the audience. You want to go ahead and make choices for that audience. The what is the message? What's the goal? Why are we putting this image out there? And what is it trying to do? It's reaching a goal, whether that's a call to action or motivation or engaging or putting information out there. We have to know what that message is. And above everything else, we have to deliver that message. That's the only point. That's the only purpose of design, is to communicate a message. If we were putting artwork out there, that would be art, right? An art and design are not entirely the same, although they're best friends. We might focus on that image. We might use design to use that as the focal point. So whatever the main message is, that might be the biggest thing or the most dominant thing on the page. Why would be some sort of call to action. Why does this image, what is it calling you to do? Is it to buy a widget or to make sure you did homework assignment 5? There has to be some sort of call to action there, whether it's a interactive thing or it's a call attention to whatever information you're giving. And design wise, you might use balance and contrast to draw attention to that. And then we have kind of location and time, and that's going to add the relevance and the context to the message that we're putting out there. How would be the instruction. That might be the directions on where to do it. Where do I go to get assignment 6? And quantity is how much, right? Being honest and authentic with whatever the numbers are. You need to get 100% on this assignment, or in this real estate flyer, this house is amazing, but also it costs $6 million. Just being honest and authentic with those quantities. So our graphic has to kind of answer all of those things in some way. It doesn't have to focus on each one of those, but it can be implied in the imagery. And we're going to take a look at doing that right now with some additional considerations. One is accessibility. So when we're making these images, we want to limit the amount of text that we're using, because it won't be seen by a web browser, right? If there's an image or we have a non-visual user, which would be a search engine, or a person with visual impairments, they can't see what's in the image. But if the text is hard typed in, the screen reader will read that to them, or the browser will be able to see that content within the code. So if we have text in our images, which is fine, it should be limited, not everything should be there. We want to take all that text and also put it in the post. And that goes back to a question before about kind of adding a link to the image. We want all of that to go in the post so it's most accessible, so that a user can click on it and go right to the information that they need. The other thing about accessibility is that you want to use high contrast, so that there is enough definition and difference between the foreground and background for someone with color blindness to see the image. This is extremely important because 12% of males have a color blindness, and they may not know it. It's very common. 6% of females have this, have some sort of color blindness. So we want to make sure that there's enough contrast that you can see between the foreground and the background, so that if the color itself isn't being seen, at least that contrast is being seen. The other consideration I would urge you to consider is usability. And if you're putting text or images, think about how big and how small it's going to get, and if that's going to be helpful at all. You can have an amazing graphic, but if it's scaled really small and you can't see the details in it, then it isn't necessarily communicating your message. And certainly text on a small image would be impossible to read, so it wouldn't be actually helping communicate the design. Ultimately, we just want to make it really easy for the audience to take action in whatever it is you wanted to communicate with them. Any questions about those things? Yeah, Andrea. Andrea's question is, can you talk more about differentiating between the text that should go in the post and the exercise we just did of making the Instagram story? Exactly. Great question. So we put some text in that image. I put hey and hey girl, and there was fall collections and other things in there. Anything that's actually in that image is now no longer text. It's pixels, right? And things like search engines and screen readers don't see what's in the image, right? So anything that's text, that's content that we need to communicate, actually has to be in the text that we add with the post. So a lot of times in Instagram or in Facebook, you add an image, but you're also adding a text post. Make sure that all of the text that's in the image is also in the post, so that it is searchable and it is accessible to all. Perfect. And, this is a long time problem with social media, is that they don't allow you to add alternative text or alt text to images, so that non-visual users can read what's in the image. And so they've gotten a little bit better over time of adding that in. But if you ever see someone on social media that also adds kind of a subscript of like, the images of blah, 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 that's what they're doing, is they're making it accessible. And it's just a good practice. Great question. I could talk about that forever, but instead I'm going to issue a design challenge with perfect amount of time left. This is from sharpen.design, and I've added that link to the presentation, but I'll go ahead and add it to the chat as well. This is my go-to spot to practice design. I use it in my classroom. I use it for myself. This is a site where you just hit new challenge and it'll just pop up a new challenge. And I did a couple yesterday, and this one was cracking me up. So our challenge right now is to design a photo heavy ad for a nightclub in Atlanta. Sonia has a question. Do you have a favorite social media accounts that you create great posts? Would love to follow accounts who do it right. Oh, too funny, Sonia. Yes. AIGA Arizona on Instagram, which is at AIGAAZ. I'm adding that to the chat. is one that does a pretty good job with it. So right now we're going to do a design challenge. We're going to jump into Spark and we're going to answer this, design a photo heavy ad for a nightclub. My first thought would be to go to my who, what, why, where, when, how, right? And we have most of that answered here for us. And so we might think about the different photos that would be appropriate for a nightclub. We might think of the ad that is ultimately the purpose of this graphic. What are we advertising? And then we'll try to add in something unique that tells you it's for Atlanta. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my Spark screen with you. And then we will answer this. We'll design together. All right, here I am back in Adobe Spark. Just opening up my windows so I can see this. And you'll see this is where those recent projects are stored. So if you downloaded them, you now have that downloaded file in wherever you saved it, whether it's Drive or your computer or elsewhere. But it also, in addition to that, it's saved here in the cloud. So pick up where you left off. So if I wanted to continue with Hey Girl, I could go in and edit this project, or I can see projects that I've done in the past and I can get to them from here. I can duplicate them and make them different, or I can edit the ones that are there. So that's where those are. All right. So we're going to make an ad that's photo heavy for a nightclub in Atlanta. And right away, I see this photo collage and I think photo heavy, photo collage. Yes, let's choose this one. So go ahead and choose that photo collage. And this time, again, intelligent design, it's going, and that's not exactly the phrase that matches here, but artificial intelligence design says you want a photo collage. Let me take you right into the choose photos. So here I can choose from the stock photos that are in the Creative Commons that I can use. Or if I had some in mind, I could upload them. I don't have any nightclub photos. So I am going to search in this box for, I could search nightclub and see what I get. You could search disco if that was the kind of club you were designing for. And you should feel free to search and choose whichever ones you like. Now we can kind of browse through and see which ones are appropriate, what we want to do. And I'm seeing themes for sure of images that go together. I know I'm going to put a lot of images in, but I'm going to go back to my design prompt, which said it was an ad. So what do I want to focus on? And I see lots of drinks. I see lots of discos. I see lots of DJ stuff. And I like the DJ stuff. So I'm going to go to click on a bunch of images, and you can click on as many or as few as you want. We can edit all of it out later. We can switch and respond, swap those out later, but I've gone ahead and picked like 6 photos. Pick as many as you like. I chose all that were kind of in a purple theme. Again, I'm just using kind of my design eye to go, oh, those would look great together. I might choose all the ones that have kind of red in them. This is totally up to you. But I have a collection of 6, so I'm going to go ahead and click the next button. And then it asks me, hey, what size do you want? What are you going to do here? Maybe I'm making a poster or a YouTube thumbnail. Now, thinking of my audience, it's an audience that goes to nightclubs and they're in Atlanta. And if that helps me choose my my output, then that's what I should do. And I think Insta Story makes sense, but we already did that one. And so I might also say YouTube might be the place that I'm going for that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the YouTube thumbnail and then hit next. So I want to be intentional about the format and the social post that I'm going to. And now it brings us into the artboard, right? So smart design, it said, okay, you want a photo collage. Let me start out with choosing your photos. Then tell me what your output is. And here I'm going to shuffle it into the place that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and close the templates file. And this is how it kind of put them in there. If I don't like this, and this doesn't totally make sense to me, I can go to that design navigation menu on the other side, and I can switch it to one that I think makes a lot more sense. I like this layout. So I wonder if I use that. Oh, I like that a lot. So I shuffled it, was based on kind of that other design, and that's fine. And now I have a shuffled view of those pictures that I had. I don't like the way they did this one, so I'm just going to delete that cell. And I like this a lot better. But now I want to add some text. So I'm going to maybe scroll through the text options, or again, I can add my text. And you can be moving as fast or slow as you want. I'm sort of walking you through my design, but this last 10 minutes is for you to design this ad for a nightclub in Atlanta. A photo heavy ad for a nightclub in Atlanta. And in a few minutes, we'll share those if you like to share. I'm just walking you through my design process and what's happening in my head. And so you're welcome to follow along or make your own design, and I'd love to see what you made. I love the circle here because it kind of mirrors this disco ball, pun intended. And I'm going to put it right there. Force of Nature. Maybe that's the name of my bar. And you know what? I'm fine with that. That's the name of our nightclub. But I don't really like this color that it chose for it, this light blue. It's not the one I want. So I'm going to go click on that and look at the colors. And this is the color palette it's coming up with, which I don't love. And I don't think it matches this purpley. So I'm going to take the eyedropper, and I'm going to take, drag that eyedropper mouse around until I find a color that I want. So see how it changes that circle as I go around? I like that purple. Yes, that's the purple that I want there. I want Force of Nature to be purple. And then I want to add some sort of sale. There you go. There's an advertisement. I can add that in. I'm going to put it right in the middle. It's way too big, but I can drag these handles in and make it smaller. I don't know that I like the word sale there, so I'm just going to like delete it. Nope, that is not what I meant to delete. So I hit delete and it deleted the whole thing, which tells me it was grouped. So what I do is click on it again. Then I'm going to go up to this palette that popped up, and you can see the first thing says, oh, do you want to ungroup those? Yes, I do. So I hit ungroup, and now I can select just the word sale and delete it. And now it's gone. And then I'll take that 50% off and just drag it bigger. Put it right in the middle, and you'll notice it has some tools for alignment, which is awesome. And it's aligning it to the nearest object. I don't actually love how big that is. I'm going to turn it a little smaller. Don't love the color, so I'm going to change it. Oh, bright green. Oh, not enough contrast. Okay, I'm going to add something else. I'm going to choose that eyedropper again. See if I can't get a better color that will fit my needs. Ooh, more purpley like that. And there, pretty quickly, I have an image heavy ad for an Atlanta nightclub. And I'm realizing there's nothing truly that says it's for Atlanta in there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up icons. And Atlanta, Georgia, that's peaches, right? Let's go ahead and add a peach icon. I like this one. Automatically got brought in with this really light blue color that's within the palette, but I think that what I want to do is make it kind of a different size. Maybe move it to the side. And change the color. So it's kind of subtly in the background there. And now I have my image heavy advertisement for nightclub in Atlanta. I would love to see what y'all created. So if you would like to share, I will go ahead and stop sharing, and I would love for you to share what you have. Anyone want to volunteer to share? No one wants to volunteer to share. That's okay. You don't have to.
I just finished picking.
Andy, go ahead.
I just finished picking my images, so I'm a little behind.
No worries. Share what you've got so far. I'd love to. Also, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach online. Sandra uploaded hers, so you can go ahead and look at that in the chat. Andrea's still finishing. Yeah, it was pretty quick. Maybe build in some more design time for tomorrow. But we can also move a little quicker because now we know what Spark is and we're already in. So nice. Tell us about your thought process behind this one. What might you use it for? Yeah, I'm sorry, Sandra. Yes.
So I was just trying to build when we were first working on the first thing, we picked out an Instagram thing. So that was for an online tutoring. I built a website for coaches and trainers, and because I used to be Adobe software trainer, but a Spark wasn't around at the time when I was a trainer. No. And so I, did instructor-led training, corporate training, and when e-learning became more popular, or people were trying to save money, or the paradigm was shifting, I got more into e-learning. So I built this website. So I first put my Adobe training on it, and now I'm inviting other coaches and trainers and authors and speakers to put their courses on it. So this is, I thought maybe I'll make a little Instagram ad for it. So
nice. Yeah, I like it. And also, you notice the Adobe Spark watermark on the bottom is really not prominent. Like, I think that's totally fine. And I would absolutely use it.
And by the way, since I do Adobe training, it works. It's like, oh, she's using the products. So
super helpful, right?
Yeah, it's not bad. I can get away with it.
Awesome. Andy, did you want to go ahead and share? Are you ready?
I'm still doing it. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. And so I do realize we're at time, and so I will be happy to stay on and chat with you if you have other questions. And of course, if you need to skedaddle, don't worry about it. You can go ahead and sign off. And then I'll hopefully see you tomorrow, same time, same place. And we'll look at Adobe Video and Page, the ones we're going to look at next. I actually use all the time, and I'll show you some examples that I've made with those. Thank you, Sandra. Glad that you enjoyed it. Andrea, I'm opening yours and I'm going to share it if that's okay with you. All right, Andrea, if you're still here, if you'd like to tell us about this one.
Yeah, really just kind of looking for Atlanta at disco and nightclub, similar things from similar colors. And I thought, how much fun would that be to have a pop-up disco at the zoo? So there you go.
How fun would that be? A pop-up disco at the zoo?
Yeah.
I would go to that.
Cool. That
Excellent.
was.
I mean, not right now because of, pandemic, but
No,
eventually.
yeah, good. But Dancing with Sloths, how much fun would that be?
I
Not,
would
not a
100%
lot of
do.
work involved in it, right?
So since the pandemic started, I think probably everyone has had a pandemic birthday, but my 11-year-old did. And since we couldn't have a party, I instead, I used Cameo and had the Phoenix Zoo sloth, his name is Fernando, like made a little video for my son. It was hilarious.
I love that. That's awesome.
The sloth, Fernando. He was our special guest star. Excellent. Yep, I like this one. Kiara has one. Got it shared with the screen. I'll go ahead and share it. Again, if you need to log off, go ahead. I realize we're at time. If you want to stick around and ask questions or share, I am totally okay with that. I am happy to be here. Nice. This is a really great one. Young, wild, and free. You've got definite kind of dance nightclub. You've got Club Atlanta, and it's photo heavy. Excellent work there. Andy's got his. Let me go ahead and share that one with you. Nice. I love the neon. Neon is very, it's very pleasing. It's very attention grabbing. People are like, neon. Love it. Very attention grabbing. And we have some animation here, so I'll attempt to play it. It doesn't love it, so apparently I'm not going to play it.
That's okay.
I don't know. I just hashtag 2020 is what I always say when stuff doesn't work. It's fine. But I like it. Nice job.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions or any other shares you'd like to do? Thank you. This is totally for non-designers and easy to get up and running. So you did a great job, Kiara. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope to see you tomorrow. We'll talk about Adobe Spark Video. Bye.